Yeah, there we go. Look, start off strong, as they say. Yes, it is Thursday. It is 9. So it's UK Cowboys time. We do have 2 other people joining us. They're going to join with us very, very soon, very shortly. But it is the pregame show for this weekend's game, which is scrolling across the bottom wrong. There we go. It's all going wrong this evening, Lorne. And I even said this morning, man. It's basically what's happened is just as we've gone live, Dallas Cowboys have gone live with their Hall of Fame announcement. So we're trying to do like 7 things at once here. How are we doing anyway, Lorne? Get you talking for a minute.
Yeah, doing good. Glad to see that Damar Hamlin's making a recovery as well, and is up and not up and about, but he's awake and everything. Obviously early days yet, but the prognosis is good, so we can put that behind us a little bit. So and look forward. There won't be as dark a shadow over this week 18 games as might have been expected.
Yeah, it was pretty hefty how the week finished off, in football, man. It's a tough watch, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But, we spoke to UK Bills as well, and they were keeping us up to date and said thanks for everything as well.
Yep. And now we can get looking forward to roasting Major Tuddy and co.
Oh, God. Talk to me about that mascot. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I think it's just typical Commanders. I mean, everything that they've done so far, the rebranding as Commanders, and I don't think the fans were too happy about that. No. The Sean Taylor statue that literally looks as if they've taken the framework from a Foot Locker model. And then you go and you make a big thing about it for your final or one of your final games, and and literally they only score 1 touchdown in the whole of that game.
And Carson Wentz throws 3 interceptions.
Yeah. And it was interesting to see that, obviously the Daily Mail online picked up on it and quoted Blogging the Boys and a couple of other sites as well, all ripping the Mickey out of it. So it's the gift that keeps on giving, the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, I know. Like, how many ways can you just like show how inept you are? Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, it's just terrible, man. But here we go. Let's bring in the guest for this evening. We've got him all the way over from Ohio. It is, of course, our very great friend, Mr. Big Game James. How are we doing, sir?
What's good, man? Hold on. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
What's going on? How y'all doing?
Yeah, good, man. It's good to see you smiling away. It's always good to see that smile.
Man, it's been a long time, dog. I knew the last time we couldn't do it, and I was like, okay, I told you when I can't get it that time, I will always schedule it the next time where nothing will be in the way. And I even sped home for you.
We're just talking about Major Tuddy. How do you feel about that?
About who?
Major Tuddy.
Tuddy.
Who's that? Washington mascot.
What happened? He died?
No, have you seen him?
No, I didn't see it.
They announced their new mascot this last weekend, and it's basically a giant pig dressed up with a sort of World War I battle helmet, and it's even got the pot belly. It's supposed to hark back to the Washington Hogs, and I think actually some of the 80s linemen are actually forming a coalition to take them to court as well. So.
Oh, man.
Hey, you know what? I'm just glad I'm not a Washington fan. That's all I got to say.
Yeah,
I don't want my mascot as no pig, dog. Nuh-uh, I don't want that. That's like the filthiest animal on the earth.
Yeah. And we were just like saying, when you go through like everything that the Commanders have done in the sort of last 2 years, like just how inept they are, that front office, and just running that system.
Stay bad. That's my most hated team, my most hated rival. stay bad, stay terrible. I love seeing them just keep messing up. Daniel Snyder keep messing that organization up because, hey, I remember all those battles back then. So I love seeing them just looking like in a disarray. I do.
They really are, aren't they? Terrible. But here we go then, guys. We are here for this weekend's game, which is against Washington Commanders. Kickoff in the UK is 9:25 p.m., which just so happens to be, because the NFL are very clever like that, just so happens to be the same time the Philadelphia Eagles play the Giants. So they are playing each other at the same time. Yeah.
And the same time that the 49ers are playing the Cardinals as well,
Correct.
which also has the implication for us as to, if we manage to win, the Eagles manage to lose, then you require the 49ers to lose as well to get the 1 seed, if not we're the 2 seeds. So
yeah. So it's very interesting because obviously every team doesn't know what they're going to do. They all have to play for something. But here's a question for you guys. Knowing with what the lineup is looking like, because the Cowboys at this stage could be team seed 1, seed 2, or seed 5. Are you guys wanting to go out there and fight for that first position? Because it could very well be the Cowboys face Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers with the way things are going. I mean, or do you want to stay in that 5th seed spot and make this a nothing game? Make this your bye this weekend, and that way you get to face either what could be the Saints or the Buccaneers.
I think for me, I'd rather be at home, and hosting a playoff game and potentially hosting playoff games all throughout the playoffs, if other fixtures come your way as well. But at the moment, it's pretty much a muchness because, you're probably talking Green Bay, Tampa Bay if we're in the 5th seed, and then if we're in the number 2 seed, then you're talking. Who would it be? It'd be Green Bay or Seattle or Detroit. So
it could be Detroit too.
Yeah. And then we've been the 1 seed before. We've had that week off, and then guys have lost their sharpness. Now I think we're a slightly more veteran team this time. We've got enough guys there that are a veteran core that could help us with the number 1. But yeah, you got to hope that you can, each position actually has its own pitfalls of playing in it. So,
yeah. What do you think, Big Game? Because one thing that is really important to note here, and I went and checked, the Cowboys in the NFC have the best home record, believe it or not.
Yep.
If you want me to keep it real, I don't want to play at home. I'm just being real. If we play it at home, if it happens, we got the 1 seed, I'm cool. I want to be a road warrior. I feel like, we got an 8-1 record in the regular season. Remember that, fellas. 8-1 in the regular season. Changes in the playoffs. How many times do we have playoff games at home and it's a big stinker? We had the last 2 times. We had San Francisco. We had Green Bay when Aaron Rodgers. But personally, I don't care about either one of those guys, okay? I want all the smoke with Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers didn't beat Dallas and Green Bay. Dallas beat Dallas and Green Bay.
Yeah.
Okay? So I'm not giving him that I want to stay away. No, I want Rodgers because we got to get you. He's 8-2. Tom Brady is 7-0. Okay, that's 15-2 against us. We have to have a strong road to get to these playoffs. I want to be battle tested. And you can tell me personally, I want Tom Brady in the first round. I want to go to Tampa Bay and I want to beat Tom Brady. He's beat us 7 times, 5 with the Patriots, 2 with the Bucks. And here's the thing. Those last 2 years, the first year we had him in Tampa Bay. We should have won that game. He got us.
Yeah.
Then you came back in this game, and yes, they beat us. They handled us that game. You know what I mean? So this is a perfect time, in my opinion. You're not going to get too many more chances with Tom Brady. Yeah, he probably going to try to play till he's 50 years old, right? But we're talking about at his, he just came off the big game with Carolina, right? So they're all talking, Tom Brady's back. So I want that because we need that revenge. If we go on the road, we beat Tom Brady. right? Send him in misery. What is that going to make for our confidence the next round? Okay, we just slayed a dragon who has been a nemesis for us his whole career.
Yeah.
If we go on the road this year, right, win on the road after we had the disappointment of last year, I'm telling you, fellas, that's going to give this team a strong confidence going into that next round. And I'm keeping it real. I like us at home, but I just feel like it's too much pressure there. I feel like they'll crack under the pressure again. But I feel like if we're on the road, it's less of the noise, it's less of the stuff. It's on them. We go in there, we go hard, we blow them out, and we get the next round. That's what I want, in my opinion. I want Tom Brady. I've been wanting Tom Brady. I've been wanting him for 5 weeks. I'm tired of him. I want to put him out of there. Yes, I want all of Tom Brady, bro.
Because here's the funny part, right? And tell me what you think on all this, right, guys? I find the narrative quite strange on Tom Brady that people are going, oh, look at what, the last few games, all the rest of it. Yeah, but for 58 minutes of each of those games, Tom Brady is non-existent. He turns up in the final 2 minutes of the fourth quarter and wins the game. And suddenly he's the hero. Does anyone find that strange?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I mean, that's just a credit to their defense that they keep them in the game for Brady to actually, flick the switch and turn it on, so that he can win it. But if they were playing with a lesser defense, I mean, Brady would be languishing in the doldrums at the moment. So you're seeing it almost with Aaron Rodgers, that Aaron Rodgers is having to step up and play because Green Bay's defense hasn't been as good, and I see there somebody thinks that the Lions have a good chance of beating them, but it is in Green Bay. Lions don't travel well to Green Bay, so
True. But here's the crazy part on that, though, Lorne. Lions have been playing really well too. They beat Green Bay. They're in the playoffs. That's it. It's done. It's solidified. I wouldn't mind facing the Lions again.
They need Seattle to lose as well, though.
Correct. Yeah.
Hey, but check this out, Mike. Don't be sleeping on them Lions, bro. Like
I know, man.
You know what I'm saying? Don't be sleeping on them. If they get in the playoffs, they got nothing to lose. They're gonna play free because nobody expected them to be there. So they're not gonna play with no worries. They're probably gonna throw the kitchen sink. They're gonna do whatever because it don't matter if they lose. It was a great season for them. Let's keep it real. If they make the playoffs and get blown out in the first round, it's still a great season for Detroit because they don't see the playoffs no more. So that gives them more credence for Dan Campbell and them for them to feel good about themselves. But another reason why I want to play against Tampa Bay, because I remember when I don't know if it was Devin White when they had that interview after they played us, and he was like, we knew exactly what they were going to do. We knew they were going to do this. We knew we were going to do that. And they were going to do this.
We knew the playbook.
This is a time for Kellen Moore to step up right here. They just called you out the week 1, right? So they'll probably go into this game if Dallas plays Tampa Bay saying, oh, we already know what they're going to do. They're going to do the same thing like they always do. This is a game for Kellen Moore to shut up and silence critics. And I'm gonna throw a totally different wrinkle at y'all, and we about to get at y'all. If I was a coordinator, I would love it. Oh, you got me the first game, and you was talking trash, saying you knew my plays. Okay, now I'm in the playoffs. I'm about to get you in these playoffs. Now I'm about to show you about my play calling. That's why I want them.
Yeah, you want Kellen Moore to have a fire, like you want a fire underneath his ass to really step up. It's like, you know what? Okay, you beat me the first round, but I'm not going to make that same mistake again, pretty much. So, but yeah, and apologies for being late, guys. So, but yeah,
you all good, big dog. What's up with you?
Man, just tired, dude. Working.
Yeah, I feel you. I worked, and I told Mike I sped home. I literally got off work and jumped right on the channel. But that's what it is because I love talking to you guys. So it's all good. You feel me? So let me ask you guys, since Mike is out there, I want to ask both of you guys. We just talked about the playoff seeding thing and this and that. How do you feel about these other teams? I mean, how do you feel like, I gave you my perspective. I want all the smoke with any of them. How do you guys feel about them? And give me your honesty about the teams potentially could be in the playoffs. Are you worried about any one team, or are you like, we can do this?
For me, like, you just don't know with Tampa Bay who's going to turn up. That's my only concern. Like, are they going to be the Tampa Bay that with that star-studded wide receivers they've got with Evans and etc. and Julio and etc. We don't know. We're not seeing that, but there is glimpses where they can shine out of nowhere. But Minnesota, I'm not particularly worried because we already beat them. We've got them in our back pocket. Personally, I think if we play them again somewhere in the playoffs, I think that would be great. If we were to get to meet the Eagles again somewhere in the playoffs, I think we'll beat them again because based on that last performance. But if Jalen Hurts is playing, then we just need to make sure we stop the run play option. But other than that, it seems to be the boogeyman I'm more worried about. It's just more of a self-conscious thing.
It's us, y'all. It's us.
There you go.
Yeah,
It's us.
Yeah.
It's not them no more. It's not them no more.
It's
a mind
right.
block now. It's a mind block. I was saying this on one of my shows, fellas. You remember, Boston Red Sox way back in the day? They used to always choke. I watched them.
Yeah.
Yankees
in
used
the
to
final
always
minutes,
beat them.
always.
Yep.
And then I remember that one year, I think it was 3-1, or it was 3-0, 3-1. And they're like, up, same thing again. And the Red Sox came back and finally beat that curse. And guess what? They went on to win the World Series. And then you didn't talk about curse no more. You feel me? The Atlanta Braves, I used to watch them choke every year in baseball. They finally broke that curse. You don't talk about it no more. You get what I'm saying? So to me, it's like a curse over Dallas. 27 years. They talk about it year in and year out.
Yep.
This is the time to break the curse, fellas. You have an opportunity when you look at the teams in this NFC. Oh, my God. You can't tell me we can't beat everybody in here. It's in our minds now. We got to step up and play the daggone game of football. And let's stop thinking about all that other stuff and beat these teams like we know we can.
Yeah.
It's not the cow. Go on, sorry, Paul.
I was going to say, like, when you really put things in perspective from the start of the season, we counted ourselves out at the start of the season. Like, considering, like, with what you call them, Randy
Amari Cooper going,
Gregory Cooper gone, etc. Like, we weren't too sure if Tyler Smith was the guy when we drafted him. Thankfully, he is. Sam Williams was like, did we draft him too high? It's proving all the questions. It's like, but still somewhere, like even with blowouts, we're still having doubt about the rest of the season. Like, we're just because there's that inconsistency, and that goes back to what you're just saying there, James. It's like it's on us. It's not on the teams we're playing against. They're better than us. We're actually letting them get the opportunity. Like, for example, like I was at that Houston Texas game, and that was going to be one of the worst football games I've ever attended in my life. Like, it was so stalemate. There was no click.
Flair.
Like, there was nothing until that last 2 minutes of that game. Out of nowhere, Dak takes it to the house. Like, wins the game for us, that game. So, it is, in a way, it's like we've got a really good team, but it's frustrating at the same time. And
go on.
And just to finish it off, like, I just hope every single player in our roster just actually turns up, and we're not, and the coaches especially, we're on our A game. When we're on our A game, we are unstoppable. That's a fact.
It's true. And like, here's the bit that makes me laugh is that, like, loads of Cowboys fans that I'm seeing, and probably because, we're in that community, you see it so much. So many people are complaining, saying, oh, the Cowboys are on, they're slowing down. The defense hasn't gotten many sacks as it used to. The offense doesn't seem to be clicking. And it's like, look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you and argue your point that the Cowboys are a perfect team. They're not. But show me a perfect team in the NFL, especially the NFC. Show me that perfect team. Or show me a team where all the fans are complaining about some segment of their roster. Because guess what? That's the NFL. It's not Madden.
Well, that's a good point, because when you really break down our roster, it's like we've got a starting quarterback who is two running backs, and potentially even three with Malik Davis and how he develops in the future as well. Right? We've got our wide receivers. We brought in T.Y. Hilton in, which has been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Right. And then you go to the defensive side of the ball. You would have thought our biggest weakness would have been at the linebacker core, but we've held up our end of the bargain here. The guys that are playing linebacker, like with Delone Brand,
Damone Clark.
Damone Clark. So him coming in, who was not expected to play this year, he's came in and he is balled out, absolutely balled out. Like it mesmerizes how a guy who's just came back from a major surgery like that, and they come in and actually make an instant impact to this team. And you've got Micah Parsons, etc. And don't forget our defensive line. The job that Aidan Dudley has done overall in the past 2 years has been nothing but exceptional. And and obviously, I think the only weakness you can really say right now, as of right now, is our corner, like the secondary.
But Nation Wright didn't have a bad game.
No, he had a great game, but what I'm trying to say is, it's like when you really kind of break it down, it's like there's not really much of a weak area that we actually do have when in perspective. It's like we have a really good team in our hands. It's up to them. Excuse me. It's up to them to really get their A game and actually show up in game day.
Yeah, and some good news on the roster as well. And I'll let you speak, Lon. Leighton Van Der Esch and Jonathan Hankins are both going to be available for that first playoff game.
Yep, and I mean, we've got another game where Nahshon Wright can get more snaps, and Nahshon Wright week on week has been building. As long as he stays healthy, which obviously there was issues at points during the Tennessee Titans game, but if he keeps building on these snaps, then going into the playoffs, it's better having him 3 games under his belt than having asking him to step up in the playoffs. So I feel comfortable with him. I think the defense is going to get it all together, and I think everybody's complaining because we had the perfect game against Minnesota where we won 40-3. And then from that point on, why aren't we winning 40-3 every week? And that just doesn't happen. I mean, even the 1972 Dolphins came close to losing games as well.
It's called being human.
In fairness, though, like when you're going up against teams like the Texans, who we should be blown out, and teams like with the injury list that Tennessee had, we should have been blowing them out as well. I can understand the frustration, but I want to mention as well, and I want to show a lot of appreciation for this guy, Leighton Van Der Esch. I'm so happy that he's coming back, and I think he's probably one of the most underrated players in our team this year. Like the amount of work you don't actually like when you watch the game film, he is everywhere. He's not making the impact plays like Parsons or the defensive line are doing, but he is there. He's there stopping the run. He's there in amongst the trenches. He is actually balling out full flat, and I think he's not getting enough credit right now.
Yeah, and again, I mean, you saw him during the Tennessee Titans game. He obviously was wearing the mic and everything, and he was standing on the sidelines. He was going up to the young guys during the breaks and actually talking to them and giving them tips, giving them pointers, getting them into position so that the next time they were out in the field, they were in position to make the plays. That's unselfish, behavior from a guy that potentially, if we can't re-sign him, he'll be away next year, and these guys are taking his job. We want to get him back, but unless you got a crystal ball and you know what you're going to get him for, we want him back, but potentially he could be playing somewhere else, and he knows that. But he wants this team to be good, and I think you've got that.
He's a team player, mate. He's a team player. End of.
Yep.
Like and. If I can recall, I don't think as of right now we have a player that is a selfish player in our roster, which is very important, I might add. Every player plays for their teammates in this team. Like, there's no bravado. There's no, I think now in retrospective, like the OBJ stuff, I think I'm so glad that we did not do that. And when you look at other teams, like we're having players like Antonio Brown, it's all about them, but it's not about the team. Whereas us, we've got our defensive line, they're being rotated, our linebackers have been rotated, our corners have been rotated, our offense has been rotated. I mean, what more can we ask for?
Well,
It's a proper team effort we've got, and look at where we are right now. We're in a really good situation right now. We're 12-4. We could be 13-4. We could be 12-5, but still, we're in the playoffs. We're the 5th seed guaranteed. We're going ahead, and then I know Jim stresses, but I want Brady. I want Tom Brady. I want to end this curse before he retires. I am sick of that whole stigma of Tom Brady undefeated against the Cowboys. I want to end that. It's like as a nail in the coffin, off to the sunset you go, knowing that you didn't beat Dallas undefeated.
Yeah, so a lot to take away there, Big Game James. So I'm going to hit you with the first one. First question. LVE, Lorne and Paul were talking about that. Does he deserve a contract going forward?
That's going to be tough. He's definitely stepped up because I made a video earlier this year where I was a little critical of him, that he was still hesitating. He wasn't meeting people in the hole. He wasn't finishing his plays. But he stepped his game up, man. I jumped out there and said it as well, Paul, that he had definitely stepped his game up. Especially like the last 3 or 4 weeks, had really been playing good football, especially in that 14 tackle game. He was all over the place. He was meeting people in the hole. He was seeing where they were going. He didn't hesitate. He was going in there feeling. He was dropping in coverage. Yeah. I was like, this is the LVE we was seeing in his rookie year. This is the LVE we've been wanting.
I think the most important thing, he was tackling with intention as well. Yeah. And that seemed to be what was kind of missing at the start of the season. And all of a sudden, boom.
Hey, but I tell you what, you know what also changes that too? When you're on a 1-year deal. When you're on a 1-year deal and you ain't playing good early, right? When you're on a 1-year deal early, you ain't playing good, you better play good at the end because you ain't getting no contract no more, right? Everybody else is looking at you too as well. So he's not just playing for his contract possibly for the Cowboys. He's auditioning for the league as well. So he has to step his game up. So because he's still young. I think the Cowboys will throw a contract, but we know Stephen Jones. It's going to be a certain amount of number. If you want to go with this number, come on back. If you want to go outside of that number, we're going to go do something else. And I think that's what Stephen Jones is going to come. But I do feel like we need depth because if you look at it next year, right, you only got, because the way they're playing Parsons, unless something happens with Dan Quinn, Parsons is playing defensive end right now. He is strictly defensive end. He's not even playing linebacker anymore, right?
Yeah. It's pretty much been like a Von Miller-esque.
I mean, they just switched him to end. You feel me? So now you have Damone Clark, who we know is coming back. Then you got Anthony Barr's out the mix, right? He's probably not going to come back. And then you got Jabril Cox. We finally saw Jabril Cox signing at the end. Devin Harper, who they drafted last year, could probably be in the fold, but that linebacker room is going to be small next year. So they're definitely going to either have to draft a linebacker or they'll probably throw a contract out to him. So I definitely feel like they probably throw him something, but it's going to be up to him if he wants to accept that number because, the Cowboys are not going to negotiate with you all day. They're going to say this number. If you want this number, let's do it. If you don't, we're going to move on. So we'll see what happens with that. But once again, man, I just feel like this is I'm tired of this, fellas. I ain't gonna lie, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of our failures. I'm tired of it, especially when these last 2 years, these are opportune years. I mean, you just said it. 13-4 right now. I mean, 12-4 right now could be 13-4. When's the last time Dallas has done this? And since I was young, we've seen this. So you have to finish this off.
2 years back to back.
Right. You have to finish this off, Dallas. You can't do back-to-back double-digit seasons since 20 years, back-to-back playoff appearances since 06-07. You feel me? You possibly could win the division, which hasn't happened back-to-back in over 20 years.
Yeah, that's
so there's a lot of things that haven't happened for the Cowboys, and it's not going to look good for you to do all that just to lose in the first round again. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, but here's some good news. Segueing off what you're saying there, Big Game James, that the Giants have come out now, literally in the last 24 hours it was, and said, no, we are not resting our starters. We want to beat the Eagles. This is a statement game for them, which works out well for us.
Brian Doble mentioned it last week. He had no intention to do it, but he's reconfirmed it again, saying it's like, no, I am going to play my starters. That's what they're paid to do. I'm going to bring them in.
And I do get his reasons why. That you go into the playoffs, iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
And they ain't got nothing to lose, fellas, too. Let's keep it real.
Yeah.
Nobody thought the Giants were going to the playoffs. I didn't. I called them frauds all year. I had to apologize. I called them frauds all year, and they made it in the playoffs. So,
it's hard to believe that Daniel Jones is in the playoffs. I still can't believe it.
Right. So my thing is he can play that way because, like I said, just like the Lions, you don't have anything to lose. Nobody thought the Giants were getting there. So you don't have no reason to rest your starters. If anything, this gives your Giants more confidence if you play your starters and beat the Eagles. Yeah, they're on Clyde now and going into the playoffs. You feel me? So they want that probably confidence booster for them. So that's why they're probably playing them starters. And for me, from Dallas's perspective, I definitely want to watch this because I just said I'm doing a show with my guy Joe Castro from the Best of Innings podcast. He's like, "Oh, you just emotional." I'm like, "No, bro. I'm sorry. I smell a one and done. I'm not hating, but I watched the NFL too long." And I watched teams who are super hot at the beginning of the year all the way. And in the last 2-3 games, they start losing and they go into the playoffs limping and bam, first round exit.
And that sounds exactly like the Cowboys last year.
Yep.
That we were hot all the way through as the season, especially on offense, as the season started to tail off last year, so did the offense. And what happens? We go and face the 49ers in the playoffs, and we had nothing but offensive struggles. There was defensive struggles too, but the offensive struggles were really obvious.
Yeah, that was a proper off game. That whole thing. Let's just not talk about San Francisco, shall we?
Yeah, no.
Let's move on from that.
Yeah, no. But it's reiterating.
Now.
Yeah, it's just an example of what Big Game James is saying. That what you want to be doing is you want to be peaking roundabout now.
Yeah,
and that's the best way. Like, look at Cincinnati last year, peaking right now.
Well, if there's players that are peaking right now, the fact that our running back core are peaking right now, both Zeke and Tony, they have elevated. It's going to give more teams more to think about now, big time. And don't forget, even if when you and I've got a lot of love for this guy, is Malik Davis. Even when you do put him in, he creates some threats as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see how we go forward with this into these playoffs.
Big James's statement: he's got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Yep.
And those types of players are dangerous. You put a guy who's got nothing to lose on the field, anything can happen.
Well, here's a question, right? So when you look, sorry, my camera's just kind of went out.
Yeah, you're all right. It'll come back now, mate.
Yeah. Right. So when you look back at that Tennessee game, right, with all those backups that were playing, we did not respect that at all. And those players stepped up to the game and actually played some really good football defensively, big time. And I was just like, it kind of works when you kind of look at retrospective to us, like Deshaun Wright, who is not a starter, he's came in, he's done some really good stuff. Damone Clark, he's came in, done some really good stuff. Damone Bland, a guy that just barely made the roster, has came in and he's like, leading the interceptions for Dallas right now?
Second. Oh, yeah. No, he's leading, but he's second in the league.
It's second in the league.
Yeah,
so
he's a rookie.
You get my point.
A part-timer, too. He didn't start the whole year.
So
exactly.
All I'm trying to say is you don't have to be a starter to actually be like it just creates more chaos, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not surprised with Deron Bland. We'll talk about that on the defensive side, but here's a question that popped up, and I'll ask you guys because I like this question. Offensive line with the shuffles, does that concern you guys going into the postseason, or do you feel fine, especially when you saw what you saw with Jason Peters, because he played the full slate of snaps over there and did pretty well, especially for the type of age he is. He's always seemed to be on a snap count in the past. And McGovern playing center. How did all that make you feel?
I was actually quite happy with McGovern plays. I thought he actually looked okay. Stepping in, considering the circumstances, I thought he actually did pretty well.
I think McGovern playing center looks better than McGovern playing guard. Does that make sense?
I
think it suits him.
I will it's hard to say because you do need to give a lot of appreciation for McGovern, how much he's turned things around this season. Yeah, he's still a wee bit undersized. Yes, he still gets a wee bit out muscle.
Oh, no, yeah.
But he has drastically improved as an offensive lineman as a general.
Because I just think McGovern as a centre looks better because, like centre, and I'll ask you, Lorna, and Big Game James on McGovern, the play in there seems to look better because you're, as opposed to guard, centre is more short, stabby motions, which I think suits him better because those big lunging moves seems to be where he fails. What do you make of McGovern?
Yeah, I'd agree that getting your hands up quickly after snapping the ball and getting your hands in the faces, that is the main thing for a centre. Where for a guard, you've got everything. You've got to look inside and out as well. Which is, I think he certainly proved all the shotgun snaps he did on Thursday were in the right area, which is more than you could ask for. Where I had a slight concern with this offensive line, and I said this on Tuesday, that Tyler Smith, whether it's because he's purely been practicing at tackle, doing a little bit of guard or what have you, but he looked a bit lost at times when he moved into guard. He looked a little bit lost at times. He was getting buckled, he was getting pushed back, and that's just the adjustment. Now, if he's been practicing at left guard this week, with the potential that's where it is, he might be more prepared this week. You're still there's. It was interesting. I was listening to something this week as well that Zach Martin and Tyron Smith are still trying to adjust as well. They're not used to, obviously, Zach Martin's been used to Terran Steele. Tyron Smith's been used to playing on the left-hand side. He's adjusting playing on the right-hand side, and they've never actually lined up side by side together. So there's a bit of miscommunication there at times, but obviously they're all pros and they can do things to counter that. But at points they can be in positions where it's detrimental to. And I think you saw that in some respects. Yes, Tennessee are good against the run; they're second in the league. But I think what was it? It was less than 3 yards a carry. I think we were getting in the end.
It was 2.9.
Zeke was on 1.9.
It was 2.9 yards average for the game. It was 87 yards in total.
But James,
my opinion on this,
takes, please.
Number one, I think Connor McGovern can play center. I talked to his dad. Me and his dad talk all the time. He was So
we got the right guy on the show then.
Yes, he was an All-American center. When he was in high school, his dad said he was a center his whole life, and he played right guard when he went to Penn State. But he was a All-American center coming out of high school, and they switched him to right guard. He basically had played left guard for that first time. When they put him at left guard, that was his first time ever playing in the NFL. That's why when people are like, "Oh, Connor McGovern sucks," I'm like, bro, he never played left guard ever in his whole career, and to just throw him out there the way he did it, wasn't like he was giving up 5 and 6 sacks. Yes, he might got pushed around a little bit, may not have the foot speed that you wanted, but as a whole, he didn't do bad. He only gave up like 1 sack this season and like 4 penalties. But if we're looking at the center position, listen to this, fellas. You got Matt Faranoak out there too, who can who could be a backup. They put that 21-day window on him. This is what we were talking about on the final word. Where Jason Peters was playing left tackle, right? And I jumped out there and said, well, let him play left tackle because he played 15 games with Chicago Bears last season at left tackle, so he should be okay. But my guy OC is an offensive lineman. He said, man, listen, go watch the tape. More snaps he plays, he starts to lunge in. He's not that foot speed is not there. You can see him start getting beat. He said you need to move Jason Peters at left guard, keep Tyler Smith at left tackle, because that's what you want, because he's going to be dealing with some more athletic people on that outside. It'll be easier for Peters on the inside because he's got less movement and he's a bigger dude. And he's not totally in shape. So if you're playing left tackle, you're not totally in shape, and you're going against those top guys in the playoffs, Bosa and those guys you might see. You got a kick slide, and that's going to wear you out, where you're dealing with a Tyler Smith who's young. He's athletic. Yes, he has some growing pains, but you could still see him being able to deal with that more than a Jason Peters. So I kind of like that situation if they would put Peters on the inside. Let Tyler Smith stay on that outside because he's played left tackle the whole year. Let him stay there and just go ahead and just run with it. This is our future right here anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm
so glad you just mentioned that, because that does play a massive factor, is speed on the edge. That is massive. Like, don't get me wrong, Jason Pierce is a fantastic offensive.
Because what is Jason Pierce? 41?
40, 41, and 40s. That's all you got to say. He 40.
Yeah.
Right?
He starts with that.
And don't get me wrong, right? Like, for like Pierce's experience, like for him to even be in the more guard position, like he can probably take on the more bigger defensive tackle guys more single-handedly than like Tyler can do right now. Because Tyler still has a lot more development to build his upper body strength and stuff like that. Like he's still a rookie. Don't forget that. Like in the years to come, and when Tyler adds in a bit more of the weight, and I had the opportunity to meet Tyler in that. He's a lovely guy. Big guy, but he can be bigger. Like I've met like Zach Martin, and when you see the size difference, like I remember this size difference comparison, you can tell like Tyler's a lot more leaner, and whereas Zach's he's got that more bulk about him. He is a pure natural guard, but Liz Peters, he looks more of a like a guard now, and like the age issues that you just mentioned there, James, it's like that. I think that would probably be the best case scenario for us: is shift Peters to guard. Keep McGovern or Fournette there at center, whoever, but keep Tyler at left tackle, where he's been so comfortable and he's actually been like stand out for the majority of the season.
Yeah, it's very true. But here's one on the running back side. Tony Pollard has been a full participant this week, which is interesting. Now, he's very shy. He's 18 yards off 1,000 rushing yard season.
Get him in there for 2 plays. Get him in there for 5 plays and get his 1,000 yards a season.
Yeah, well, bear in mind, he's first in the NFL in average yards per carry.
1 play then.
Yeah, he needs to get his 1,000 yards. He needs to get his 1,000 yards, in my opinion. I know they say don't worry about the stats and things of that nature, but I don't care. He's had a good year. He's averaged 5 yards a carry his whole career in Dallas. You know what I'm saying? And for us, this is probably his breakout season. So it's kind of like, let the man get his due. You know what I mean? Let the man get his due. Like you said, Paul, let him get his snaps. Once he get that 20 yards, go sit down, bring in Malik Davis, and go chill.
And I've just seen one of
it's
the
a confidence booster too, right?
I've just seen one of the comments there from Ashish. I do apologize if I do not pronounce your name correctly, but Zeke is only 140 yards away from his as well. So we might potentially have 2 1,000-yard running backs.
And that has never happened in Dallas.
Never happened. Never.
And here's the crazy bit.
And that's crazy.
Zeke, but what is even crazier is Zeke. If he scores a touchdown, in this game, that is 12 games in a row he's scored a touchdown this season. 12 in a row.
And this is one thing that really gets me. People say, "Oh, why are we paying Zeke all this money?" It's like, there's your money right there. He's putting points to the board. He's 140 yards away from a 1,000-yard season. What have we got to complain about?
Does he score you points? The game is about scoring the most points than the opposition. That's basically it.
I think you know what it is with Ezekiel Elliott. Let's just keep it real, fellas. He set a standard when he came to Dallas.
In his rookie,
he set a standard, and that's what people are still holding him to. That's what it is, and it's not fair because he's gotten older. Let's keep it real. But he set a standard. His first 2 or 3 years, he was the guy. He was the man in the NFL. You know what I mean? He was setting records in Dallas, NFL, period. So when you set a standard like that and then you're not meeting that standard, people look at you like, oh, you must have fell off. You ain't getting 1,600 yards every single year. Hey, man, you got to understand. He has lost a little bit of speed. We understand that. He's not the guy like that anymore. But blocking does have. We've seen the miscommunications. You guys talked about it. Miscommunication. When you're reshuffling the line, if you really go back and watch that all 22, when you reshuffling that line, those guys miss assignments. And when those guys miss a little bit of an assignment, the running back is going to play for it because now that line is compromised and those guys are able to make plays on your backs. So it's not just the Ezekiel Elliott's and the Tony Pollard's not doing their job. It's the lines got to be all one cohesive unit for that thing to be great. And if it's not a cohesive unit, then you see the struggles in the run game. And that's what people need to see.
Yeah. I mean, I think the other reason why people are on at Zeke is obviously, as you say, the bar was set high when he came out. more people who are commenting on Zeke having lost it is because they're fantasy players.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Zeke
It
isn't
is.
getting
It
the
is true.
they're not
That's
getting
why
the
people are.
fantasy
That's
points.
why people are complaining because of fantasy football. That's like, come on, like Zeke is probably without a doubt the best pass protecting running back in the league, hands down.
Dirty yards.
Yep.
Like the amount of times he saved Dak and helped and actually like helped the offensive line from embarrassment is unlimited amounts right now.
How many times have we seen it, Paul, where Zeke's tackled literally at the line of scrimmage, and the pile goes down, and you're watching it, and you're going, okay. All of a sudden, he stands up and is 2nd and 6, and you're like, what the?
Yeah, and like I said, we're talking and like I said, Zeke anyway. Like in terms of like the first 2 years, the speed and that. To me, he's developed more into that power running back in a way. He's the one that gets. He's that guy.
Bowling ball.
The bowling ball gets you all those dirty yards. He's the one that brings the hammer. He's the one that puts linebackers on their butt, pretty much. He's that guy, and he does not get enough credit for that.
No, very true. But let's move it over to the Cowboys defense, guys, for this game. First of all, Carson Wentz, he's not playing this weekend. So then they turned around and they said, it's going to be Taylor Heineke. Then they turned around and went, no. Now they're going further down the roster. So it's no surprise, mind you. I was talking about this to Lorne before we went live about Carson Wentz. Some people are saying, the last game he threw 3 interceptions. Well, bear in mind that Carson Wentz on his contract, he has an injury clause on there, some do, that's worth just shy of $5 million. So if he got injured in this last game, the Commanders are on the hook for next season for $5 million, when they can just cut him right now and save $25 million on the cap.
Yep.
That's the reason they're not playing him.
It's the old Jalen Smith contract.
Exactly. Same situation,
Football is a nasty business, I will say.
Yeah, it is. Because you remember when he was the darling of the league. You remember when you couldn't say nothing to everybody loves some Carson Wentz. And guess what? You found out what he really was. You know what I mean? You found out what he really was. And what he really was is he's not a good leader. And you can have talent, but if you can't lead and those guys don't believe in you, don't matter how much talent you have, they'll go with a backup. They will go with a reserve, because it's all about can you command this offense? Can you put us in situations? And if Tyler, let's keep it real, Heineke comes in and they play good with him.
Yeah,
they don't play bad with him. You get what I'm saying? To me, he plays better than Carson Wentz. The only reason why Carson Wentz will play over him is because of the name or the money. That's the only reason why. But Carson Wentz, this was his last opportunity, in my opinion, to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. You was with the Eagles, starter, job taken. You went to the Colts, starter, job taken. You went to the Redskins, starter, job taken. It's over for that guy.
Just to add on top of that, and when we're talking about, like I said, Carson Wentz's character, it's like when you compare him to Dak, you see
which
Dak.
They used to.
What I'm going to say is, it's like you saw Dak in that sideline. He's like, hey, that was on me. I'm going to fix this. That's him being a leader. He's talking to his line. He's like, don't worry, guys. Talking to his wide receivers on the sideline, said, I've got this. We're going to win this game. That's your leader right there. That's your commander-in-chief for the Dallas Cowboys right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's the difference.
I'd be quite happy if history repeats itself, because obviously Wentz was playing with the Eagles. He was on a VP season, injured himself. Fair enough, they won the Super Bowl that year. I can do without that. But then he went downhill. This year, the Eagles have had Jalen Hurts leading the league. MVP consideration, gets hurt. Can he drop off the next couple of years as well, and we ship him off somewhere as well? I'd like that if that happens, because
Lauren,
that works.
I actually don't like that take, because what you're trying to say is that means Gardner Minshew might be in the Super Bowl. Screw that.
Oh no, I don't.
I do not like that concept.
It's all right. We got Brock Purdy going to the playoffs, so.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, I mean, some people are talking about, what we was going to say is that Sam Howell is obviously going to be the guy. USC, going to see again. We spoke about this, Lorne, briefly before. Going to see the RPO, I think, quite a bit. Don't you think?
Yep.
Sorry,
it's a guy who had 800
800
rushing yards last year. Was it not North Carolina? Yes.
Yeah, UNC. Did I say USC?
Yeah.
I meant UNC.
Yep. So, and this is a guy that, his senior season, because he didn't have the players around him, his senior season at North Carolina, was a so-so season. If you take his first three odd seasons that he played at NC, he should have been coming out that the year before, and he probably would have been a first-round pick. He lasted to the 5th round. By all accounts, McCarthy was wanting to pick him up in the 4th round because he can see the potential. Just it didn't work out in terms of the Commanders were, or we needed a tight end. Obviously, tight ends were going off the board in the 4th round, and then when it came to the 5th round, the Commanders were picking ahead of us. So they obviously got to Howell first of all. So. This guy is obviously he's well liked by the Cowboys coaches. They'll have done enough studying on him in college, so they will have a background on him. He's not a no name necessarily like Josh Dobbs was last week.
Yeah.
But there is going to be a level of uncertainty as to what we're going to see this week. The one that I'm worried about facing in some respects is Brian Robinson, who wasn't there the first game. He's come back. He should be in the thing for the comeback player of the year this year, because
since he's going with that,
starting the season getting shot in the leg, through no fault of his own. It's not like he got tied up in something nasty on his own volition, and then middle of the season he gets activated, and he's a big, fierce downfield rusher.
Look what he did at Alabama. I mean, he was the main guy.
He'll be going through the A and B gaps, so we've got to make sure that the interior defensive line step up.
Yeah, and that's a scary prospect, because I'm going to ask Jane, I'm going to ask you about this one. The defensive tackle position for the Cowboys, I think that at the moment scares me more than the cornerback and safety position. Safeties, I think, fine, but the cornerback position, I know Paul mentioned it. Defensive tackle, like the 3-tech nose tackle, certainly, that's probably the bit that's scaring me the most at the moment. Getting very little pressure, very few tackles. What do you think?
I mean, I've been screaming that all year. I screamed it last year. That was our problem last year. Toward the end of the year, we were giving up an average of about 4.5, 4.6 yards a carry. We've been teetering that all year. At the highest, it was at 4.7, and it's been a major issue. And, when you can really run on a team, if you look at the Green Bay game, what has been our nemesis? Aaron Jones, and he did it again. Even when we played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who ran all over us? Leonard Fournette, and he hasn't done nothing the rest of the year. So right there, that's very concerning, because if you can run in the playoffs, it's going to open up everything else for you. So the Cowboys really have to buckle down. That's why Jonathan Hankins returning is huge.
Yeah,
I wanted him a couple of years ago when he was even a better player. We got him now. But I think my guy, Professor O, he was showing a stat, and I think the stat was like 4.5, or it was, and then when Hankins was in, it was like 3.8. And even with Bohanna, it dropped down to 3.8, 3.9. So we got to get those big boys in. I get it, Dan Quinn. You love to stunt. You love to get those guys in there to create pressure. I get it.
Yeah.
But you need to get them big boys in there to hold that center and guard. And keep that LVE free. And why he was playing so damn good was because they were playing good in that middle.
Was taking on the blocks.
You feel me? And you know who else needs to step up, though, you guys? Nelville Gallimore. He has been a no-show all year. I've been saying, I said this like 4 weeks ago, because last year, right? Remember when he came back last year? He was godsend. But see, here's the thing. The problem with Nelville Gallimore, he's not a true 0 or 1. He's really a 3. He just got bigger.
He's a P-Tech.
He reminds me for real. He reminds me of when we had Malik Collins. Remember Malik Collins?
Yeah,
that's right.
Malik Collins.
He is like that.
I'm telling you, Malik Collins would get us sacks, but he couldn't do nothing in the run game.
Exactly.
He would get killed because they were playing. Rob Marinelli would play him out of position. put him at the 0 or the 1. That's not what he is.
Yeah.
And he was getting pushed around, and our run defense suffered. So I'm wondering, Gallimore, listen, I get it. You want to rush that passer, but you probably going to have to sacrifice, big dog, or you're going to have to get after that quarterback. But he's a major guy that's got to step up. If he can play at some elite level in the playoffs, trust me, guys, it'll make this whole thing better. But Neville Gallimore, to me, has got the bullseye on him. He's got to play phenomenal this playoffs to me.
Yeah, and for me, I'm one of Neville Gallimore's biggest fans. I love the fact that when we drafted them, I got so excited. It's like, that's a free tech right there. But like you just said there, James, it's like
he's just a pass rusher.
Yeah, man. Like how he breaks off the gets off the blocks and stuff like that, and the pass rush move in that free tech position, going into the B gap or A gap. It's just like it's beautiful to watch. But him being lined up right against the center or being offset to the center on the 1, it's just like it just doesn't work for him at all. Because 9 times out of 10 you're going to get double teamed, and he doesn't do well in that situation. He's better going on. He's so much better being on a 1-on-1.
Yeah, and you need those sort of guys to anchor in sometimes. Do you know what I mean? Just take those blocks on, like anchor it in, so that the rest of the guys, especially your linebackers, can very easily see where the holes are, where they need to defend. And sometimes you see with Gallimore is that he's too easily pushed around, and it's a shame. And if you remember, Paul, we had Cowboys Can Fan, the Canadian boys on, and obviously he's the Canadian bulldozer, and they love who he is, but they're afraid of what he's become. Is the best way to describe it.
And it pains me because I'm one of his biggest fans, and I just don't like the way how it's been utilized. Like, and I'm saying every year, and this is his contract year, I believe.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So you would expect him to be balling out, but we're not seeing it. And as much as it pains me to say this, but we might not see him back next year.
No, there's quite a lot. And the thing is when you look at the defensive tackle position, it's not like they haven't. They know that that's their weakness because they've tried. When you look at it, that they go out, they get Quinton Bohanna, they get Big JR last year, they got Oso Digizua. They even brought in free agent defensive tackles to come in to try and fill this void. Jonathan Hankins has been exactly what they were expecting him to be, but really, Osa, I think, he's totally fine, but I think the trouble with Osa, I don't know what you guys think, is that he's struggling with fatigue because he's done
That's because he's playing, but I think they play him in the middle. He's not that guy. Like, he got away with it in college.
No. Yeah.
I think they really need to swap him out more, keep him at 3 tech, or let him play on the edge. Man, if you watch him on the edge, he can set the edge, because when we got if you look at DeMarcus Lawrence, right? We love DeMarcus Lawrence because he's so damn good in that run game. He can set that edge. Like, you can't really run on him. If you see Osa, if you see Osa Okudazua, I mean, on the opposite side, on the opposite side, he can hold that outside down. And I just feel like, man, I just feel like, man, we're not getting the best out of him because you're not playing him where he could really be good. He can play that edge good, and I think he's better on there because he's a good in the run game, and I think it could exploit more of how he could stop the run on that outside, because remember, we get killed on them edges at times. When those guys can get out on the edges, those guys get yards on us. So we need somebody who can set that edge on that opposite side, because I like Dante Fowler, but he's not a run stopper on the edge. I love Dorrance Armstrong Jr., but those guys are pass rushers. They're not guys that are setting the edge in the run game. I think that's where you can put a Osa Ogadazua out there, and I think he can help you more. So I think Dan Quinn, I mean, hey, he's coaching NFL. I'm sitting here talking about it, but I'm just saying.
I mean, because it is very, very true. I mean, they've even brought Carlos Watkins in off the practice squad to try and fill these gaps. But again, there's another guy who's he's a 3 tech, and what they're missing is that they got Quinton Bohanna, sure, they got Hankins, sure, they're just missing something as that 1 tech that can just sit there and chew up.
That Vita Vea.
A Vita or your Vince Wilfork type of esque, like 0-1 tech type of defensive tackle. That's what you want.
And you think you put that in there, how much that opens everything up.
Oh man. the possibilities are endless.
That can sit there over center and two gap. Imagine that big bulky guy who can two gap in the middle. What that would do for the rest of your defense.
It would make our defense so much different because we rely on the speed.
Yeah,
we rely more on the speed than the power. And our speed is what gets us. That's why we're top 5 in sacks, right? Because it's that speed. But if a team, see, this is what people don't be seeing. See, when they see the run game and they see us keeping people under 100 yards, I don't think it's the fact that we're really stopping it. It's just the fact that teams ain't staying with it. When the teams stay, we're going to run on you guys, and we don't care what you do. We're going to keep running. They have success. Look at the teams that ran for like 35 carries, 39 carries. They're getting 150, 200 yards on us because they're being stubborn and they're staying with it. We get lucky, in my opinion, if a team moves away from it and start getting pass happy. I'm happy because if they start saying, "No, we're gonna run," because look at it. We play Green Bay. They said we're not going to throw the ball on you. We're going to run. We don't care if we got Aaron Rodgers. We're going to run. That first drive, they ran like 10 straight times on us, man. That's disrespectful to me.
Yep. And if we see it, surely the coaches can see it.
Yeah.
Right.
I just want to kind of throw this in there, and this is not necessarily Cowboys related, but it's just a kind of like in comparison. When you take Aaron Donald, for example, for the Rams, he's a free tech defensive tackle.
Yes.
And so effective there, but when you do see him play out of position, he's not that as effective. And that just shows like having players at their key position is so vital. We've got so many guys that play the free tech position, but not enough guys that play one tech or the zero.
Yeah, that's what they need. I mean, like the nose tackle, you know, when you think that run stuff in nose tackle, Quinton Bohanna, yeah, that's fine. You know, we had JR as well that we drafted and then got rid of. You know, they're all guys that you can just you can put them in and they'll be fine. But what you really need is you need that sort of multi-purpose one tech that you really need. I think that's what this is. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what I'll be looking at in the draft for sure this year. But apart from that, do you guys want to talk about Deron Bland and Nation Wright before we go to score predictions?
Oh, yes.
Yep.
All right, let's do it. Who do you want to start off with?
Nation Wright.
Nation Wright? Yeah. I mean, he got picked on a lot, right? Let's not go. He was targeted the most last week. But for a guy, and they knew this. Titans knew what they were doing. They were going to go in and they targeted him. But what they weren't expecting is, I mean, the Nation Wright, he's very tall, 6'4". So the change of direction and the backpedaling skills are limited. But I don't think he's a bad player, and they really do need to play him again this week to give him that experience, because that's what he's lacking. He's lacking NFL experience, really. But what do you guys foresee for him in the playoffs?
As I said at the start of the show, I think, you know, the more experience he's getting, the better he's actually getting. You know, 2 weeks ago, you know, he was a bit like a fish out of water, but he was still a hell of a lot better than Kelvin Joseph.
Very true.
Last week, you know, he got more snaps under his belt. You know what he's given as well. He's willing to come up, as Big Game James was saying there, that you need a force corner on the outside for the run game. He was coming up and making tackles. He's a physical guy. You know,
led the team in tackles.
As you say, Mike, it's the footwork, and he can bite on the double moves because he gets his legs caught up, and you know that's something that it's just getting used to what guys are doing in this league. You know, he's obviously he's come from college where, you know, he was a big fish in a small pond. He's now starting at square one, and he is building week on week on. You know, obviously. It's good that he'll get another game under his belt, and you know he'll be more battle tested. I reckon come the playoffs, I think he'll be as effective. He'll be fine. He'll be as effective as Anthony Brown is and was.
Okay, Paul, do you want to weigh in on Nation? And then I'm gonna ask Big James a slightly different question on Nation.
I think we're starting to see the start of Nation Wright, really, personally.
Yeah.
Like game by game, every snap he's getting in, he is getting better and getting better. So we're seeing the development of him right now. So I'm very excited to see him getting more game time going forward. I mean, don't get me wrong, he like you just mentioned there, Mike, like there's been times where like he was targeted a lot and he did kind of look a little bit like maybe taking on a bit too much. But if there's one thing I do like about Sean Wright, he's overcome those boundaries and has actually made some big impact plays. So I'm excited for him.
Short-term memory. He's got short-term memory. But here's one for you, Big Game James. Talking of Sean Wright, I'm going to flip it slightly for you. If he develops enough to become a starter for the playoffs, which obviously he's going to be at this stage, does that mark the end of Kelvin Joseph? Or, because there is something there with Kelvin Joseph, certainly, that baseline that's there and athletic profile is phenomenal. Is it over, or do you give a little bit more leeway because he's trying to play the cornerback position, which is, I would say, harder to play than the quarterback position? So do you give Kelvin Joseph a little bit more rope, or is that it? Is he done in your eyes?
I'm gonna tell you right now, I've never been a big fan of Kelvin Joseph. When they drafted him, I wasn't a fan.
I wasn't either
because of the red flags. I mean, athletic ability, that's all great, but those red flags are huge. And when a player has red flags are real. And I do think they'll give him another chance just for the simple fact this will be his third year. And because he hasn't played a lot of football on the field, let's be honest, his rookie year, he rarely played. He didn't really play until like the last 3 games, and there was significant snaps. He got no burn this whole year until the end of the season. So he hasn't even really been playing football, y'all. Like these 2 years, he has not been on the field. So I think you got him on a 4-year deal. You got a third year coming up. They're going to give him every opportunity because remember, you got Anthony Brown and Jordan Lewis are coming off major injuries. Jordan Lewis come off a life friend injury. Those are almost death killers for guys who are receivers and corners. Those are very hard to come back from.
See him in the Cowboys,
you know what
again.
I mean? So we don't know, and they're coming at the end of those contracts that they recently signed with the Cowboys. So those guys, Anthony Brown just tore his knee up. So we don't know if those guys will even be ready for the start of the season. So I definitely feel like they'll give Kelvin Joseph another opportunity to prove himself, to show what he can do. But Sean Wright, this is your opportunity. I felt like he was overdrafted, in my opinion. I did a tape on him. I felt like he was overdrafted. I felt like he had to get stronger. I felt like those things haven't really materialized. If you really watch that Titans game, every time he put a hit on somebody, he was holding his arm, he was holding his shoulder, he was holding his body. He has a great frame, but he's got to put more weight on that frame because you can be big, but when those guys stick that body into you and you're not big at that height, you get hurt more. And when I see him putting his body into it, I worry about his shoulders. I worry about his arms because he was holding that a lot in that Titans game. So I'm worried about injury things with him. But the thing that does help him, that he does have length. And the thing that I like about Sean Wright, when I did a video on him when he played at Oregon State, he will battle. He doesn't run away from a battle. They played some, I can't remember. I don't know if it was Stanford, somebody, but Brandon Ayuk, who plays for the Niners.
Yep.
Yeah.
They played against each other their last season. And Ayuk was the guy. Everybody was talking about Ayuk. And Nashawn went over there and pretty much guarded him the whole game. And Ayuk gave him some work for real. He gave him some double move work. But the thing I loved about it, Nashawn never backed away from the challenge. He didn't move over, said, this dude is killing me. Y'all, let's switch over the zone. He stayed on him and battled. And that's what I see with him doing even in the pros. He will battle you. When he came in out of when Kelvin Joseph got benched, he battled in that Jacksonville game. I was like, okay, I like that, Nashawn. Now, you just like you guys pointed out, he got picked on 10 targets, 7 receptions for like 105 yards he gave up. But he still battled because he got that interception. That's what I like about him, that you might got some stuff on him, but he's going to still keep coming after you. He's going to stick his nose in there. That's what we want. We don't want the Kelvin Joseph who's going to say, oh, he got a couple plays on me, and I'm just going to just, I just feel like
checks out the game.
Joseph. I just feel like this is just my opinion. You was a rapper, okay? And this is just from me because I've seen this. I've been around athletes who are entertainers too. Some of those guys don't really care about football because I coach athletes. They don't really care, but they say, I'm really good at this sport. this can pay me. I like this other career I'm doing too. So I can use football money to fund my rapping career. So it may not be my heart is in it, but I'm talented enough to get these NFL checks to pay off what I really like to do. And that's honestly what I feel. I just don't feel like his heart is really in football, and he's just playing it because I'm athletic enough to play it and I can get me a check. But not everybody who's in the NFL loves the NFL.
That's very, very true as well. Yeah. And I mean, like my big mark when I was drafting Kelvin Joseph, and I was looking at him, all you got to do is just type in his college football stats. I mean, like in college, he played like 6 games. Like the lack of experience. And like what I wrote about is that if you haven't seen him doing it in college, what makes you think he's going to do it in the NFL, the next level up? And that's my big problem. But here's my final question for all of you on Deron Bland. Second in the league in interceptions. He's obviously a rookie. There's some players playing certainly as well at the defensive back position who are rookies this year, playing really, really well. For argument's sakes, Deron Bland comes away from this game with 2 interceptions. Is he now up for defensive rookie of the year? He would be leading the league in interceptions as a rookie.
Yep.
And as Big Game James attested to at the start when we talked about him, on less games than all the other defensive rookies of the year candidates.
That's crazy.
I think he's certainly in the mix, but I mean, Sauce Gardner, I think, is carving out a good rookie season as well.
He ain't getting Sauce.
So let's just say, okay, let's put it this way. Let's say,
but he'll be in that mix though.
With 2 interceptions in this game, say.
I'm gonna just say this, in my opinion, he gets those 2 interceptions, he's gonna get a lot of votes. But Sauce Gardner been starter day 1. And he been locking people down day 1. And his stats are just phenomenal this year. You know what I mean? Everything that it's rare, you guys know, just like you had mentioned how cornerback, I play cornerback when I play ball. Hard. It's hard. People don't understand when you're guarding receiver.
I say, James.
Yeah, because think about this. You're guarding receiver, he's running forward. You're running backwards. You don't know what that man is doing. Get on the field and guard somebody who's running straight and they're fast, and you have to backpedal, open and turn and guard him. You know how hard that is? That is super hard. So I give cornerbacks the utmost. And so that's why I say Sauce Gardner to have all that hype, because he had crazy hype coming in. He lived up to that hype. And so that's the reason why I'm going to say, even if Deron Bland gets 2 picks, because you know what they're going to say? If Sam Howell plays, it was Sam Howell. He's a rookie. We ain't really going to look at that. And then they're going to look at the board, the work with it. Gardner's been playing the whole season. Bland, even though he's been coming in and turning up, he's played half the season. I think they'll go with that. But I feel like he'll definitely be in that top 3. In the defensive player, I definitely think if you got 7 interceptions as a part-time rookie, you got to be in that mix.
Just before you go into fantasy, Hutchinson's a shout as well. Don't get me wrong, but
he's good, but can't give him that.
But I was going to say before we move on to fantasy, I do want to mention Brett Maher. I do want to mention him. Like if there's one player that does,
he's going to lead in points.
Yeah, I think if there was an award for comeback player of the year, I think personally for me it should be him. Considering of all what his first stint in Dallas was a disaster, he went to the Jets. But whatever he did in between that time after the Jets till now, he's completely transformed himself, and he's been so consistent. The only field goals he's missed was the ones that was in the Giants, pretty much, and that was due to the high wind, which he did test the waters.
Yeah, but they were at 57 and 59 yards.
Yeah, exactly. They were like, and the high wind. So he's been money matter all season. So, and I don't know what you guys think, but if it was me, he's definitely a comeback player of the year candidate for sure.
When he beats Justin Tucker.
Agree. Yep. I agree. I mean, obviously he was on the Saints after the Jets, Paul, last year. He was on part-time last year. And I think he was 16-18 last year. So you saw the progression there that he'd made. probably no doubt due to the setup that Sean Payton had in New Orleans there last year. That's helped him, and then obviously coming back this year. And again, you got to give credit to our front office that they were willing to take this guy back on. They'd seen something, an improvement in him.
And every one of us were like, oh no, what are we doing? Because we had a kicker situation which was a disaster from the pre-season and training camp, and brought Brett Maher back in, and automatically every single one of us, and I know that if you said bringing Brett Maher was a good thing at the start of the season, then you must be joking. Like, I'm sorry, but at the time, I was like, what are we doing? Why can't we just draft some rookie or undrafted free agent or something like that? But hey,
we made jokes about it.
We made jokes. We made memes about it. Now we're the ones should be getting laughed at as fans. Brett Maher, he gave us the ultimate humble pie.
Yeah. Just a quick one, Paul. Just a quick update on Damar Hamlin. Adam Schefter's reported that he woke up and he has spoken as well now. He asked who won the game.
I heard that. that is amazing. And prayers to Damar Hamlin.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just seen that.
It's so good, man. It's so good.
Get your take finally, Lorne, on Deron Bland, and then I'm going to ask the very important question, and we'll do the final segment for the final time because it's the regular season. Deron Bland, 2 interceptions, defensive rookie of the year, or
I mean, as I say, I sort of did start this by saying that I thought he'd be in the mix, but I think if you're going to give it to a cornerback, then it's got to be Gardner.
It's going to be Sauce.
It has to be Gardner. It has to be.
All right, here we go then, guys. Here we go. The all-important question here. Score predictions for this game. I'm obviously going to go with the Cowboys win. 38-14, I'm going with.
For me, I really don't know. Because obviously, we're going to be playing in sync with what the Eagles are doing. And if the Eagles are blown out, then obviously we're going to put our backups in. So, and I don't know if that's something you guys covered before I joined in, but if that's the case, then it may be a much more closer game than anticipated. So I'm going to go Cowboys 27, Washington 17.
And I'm very similar. I was going to go 28-13. I think Ron Rivera will want to, obviously he didn't understand that he was in playoff contention last week for some reason.
That was so weird. James, did you see that interview?
Yes. I don't be tripping off Ron Rivera, dog.
It was awkward. That must have been awkward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I said, once they hired Ron Rivera, I was like, I ain't worried about Washington.
Yeah. Ironically, for next season, the one thing Washington are missing is a head coach.
I'm just saying. And
don't call him Riverboat for nothing.
I know, right? I mean, like, I don't try to hate on Ron, but I just feel like he's a coach only going to get you so far, and that's just it. But as far as this game, I agree with a lot of you guys. I feel like this is going to be closer than it seems. I feel like this is a 24-20. I just feel like the Washington is going to just I don't think they're better or anything like that. I just feel like I don't know where the Cowboys' mind frame is for this last game. I think I don't know what the mind frame is right now because there's too many factors with the playoffs right now. Are we going to rest starters? Are we going to play guys? And I think because of that unevenness, I think our team will struggle a little bit. If you understand what I'm saying, not like they're better, but because we have that unevenness, we might just struggle just because. I still feel like we're going to win. But I just feel like Washington, that same house plan, that he might play some inspired football. He ain't got nothing to lose. This is his last game. He may go out there and just try to play crazy. And plus, he's a little bit of a runner, and you know how we have problems with that. So I just feel like it'll be one of those messy games, but we'll come out victorious. And I like to see us at 13-4 for real because I do not like losing to Washington. I don't care if it's a regular game.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. And for me, the biggest factor is it really just depends how New York, the Giants and the Eagles game's going as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're playing at the exact same time, etc. We're going to be constantly checking to see what the score's going to be. If Eagles are balling out and they're blowing the Giants out, then what's the point keeping our starters in there? Like keep them fresh for that week for that most important game, which is the playoff.
Well, the thing is, if we were playing at AT&T, I would be actually turning the scoreboards off so that you can't see what the other scores are, and you just go out and you play your own game, and then whatever happens. But because we're obviously playing in Washington, will publish these scores, and it's just a case of can we keep the guys all focused on doing the job in hand and not looking at. Do they need to score another touchdown? Do they need to win? Is the game out of hand or whatever? We're in the playoffs one way or another. We're in the playoffs. We opened this show by saying, quite frankly, who do you want to play? Do you want to be the 1, the 2, or the 5? Take whatever comes to you. Go out and play your game. Get yourselves healthy. And prepare for the next week.
Yeah. Very much. So there we have it. Right. Here we go. The final section. And Big Game James, I will explain. And I'll explain why it's going to be slightly different this week. So here we go for the final time in 2023. It's this section. All right. Everybody can play at home. We have the rankings. The rankings are out, and it's very, very important. As we were speaking before the show, that both Lorne and Paul are on the show this week to play because it's all to play for. Final scores. Big Game James is on the board. He has yet to put a score up, but his name is on there. Are you ready?
Go for it.
Let's go.
All right.
Oh,
jeez. So Jamie's 49, Lord 40. Wow.
Oh, it's all to play for. So, in order to win Big Game James on the guest side, you need to beat Nick's out. You know quite well. You need to get basically only one wrong. If you get 2 wrong, he outscores you. So, this is how it works this week. Now, normally what I do is I give you the fantasy scores, and all you've got to do is just tell me if the player's going to score more or less. But because we're on a bit of a freaky week this week, what I decided to do is it just needs to be... So, for instance, Dak Prescott. Let's put the scores in. Dak Prescott is projected to score 18.7 fantasy points. That isn't necessarily Dak Prescott. It's QB1.
Oh,
so the Zeke score is RB1. Whoever the RB1 becomes.
Right. So
you're going leading rusher, leading receiver, leading tight end.
Yeah. To make it easier because you'll have so many moving parts.
Oh, I don't know if that is going to be easier.
No, you don't like that? Do you want to stick to this then, to the projected scores?
Oh, no. Like, I'm just trying to think, like, if that's the case, like, depending on who's starting, like, it's more likely it might be less. Depends.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, is Dak only going to be in for a quarter? Is Lamb only going to be in for a half?
Ooh, I'm going to have to say, I'm going to say less.
So what do you guys want to do? Do you want to do the leading scorer or do you want to stick to the player points?
I think either way, I think we're still going to say less, I think.
Because, that's tough because this is a weird game.
That's what I mean. You got the short straw on this one, James. If it makes you feel any better, you should be able to beat Heckmer out, who scored a 0.
Andy's not come back to defend it, so
no.
So do I have to pick the numbers, or am I just
right? Here we
higher or lower?
Just
I'm going lower. I'm going lower. I'm going.
So let's go Dak Prescott. Let's just do it this way and keep it simple.
Yep.
18.7 fantasy points, guys. Higher or lower? Go for it.
I'm going to say lower because I'm going to say
lower.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say lower.
And also, like, just to add this as well, like, see if there's a point, like, if you think it's going to be close to 18.7 within a point above or point below, then you can say even. So it could be 17.7 or 19.7. So you've got that point above and point below to say, I think it's going to be in that range, so it's even. So anything below 1 point or above and below, then it's lower or higher, pretty much.
Just so you know, Paul does not do very well on the pushes.
No.
Especially when it's a tight end.
Tight end, yeah.
No, I am well. I
Last week was 0 again, mate. Just so you know.
Lovely jubbly.
That's what brought your score down.
Yeah, so I'm going on the basis that we're in this game to win it, and I think that's going to play at least 3 quarters. I'm going to say push on Dak Prescott.
Ooh, interesting. Okay. All right, then. Ezekiel Elliott, 10.7 fantasy points. Bear in mind, he scored, as we mentioned, a touchdown in every game in the last 11 weeks. So that gives you 6 points. So all he needs is a 40-yard game.
I'm going higher based on that. Like 6 points for the touchdown, 40 points. That I'm going higher.
Yeah, I'm going to go higher on that too.
Higher, yeah.
I'm going higher as well because Jonathan Allen's not playing this game, so the middle of their defensive line's compromised. Obviously, they've got Chase Young, which we didn't have, but Chase Young's an outside player. You don't normally see Zeke running outside, so up the middle, that's where the money is.
Yeah, I like it. And they are missing quite a lot in the middle of that defensive line. They have injuries on the defensive line quite badly. Okay, wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, 18.3 fantasy points. If he goes over 100 yards in this game, that's 4 games consecutively he's gone over 100 yards.
Oh, man, that's tough because I feel like they might try to do that.
Knowing Jerry.
But he's gone 3, which is the first time in his NFL career he's gone 3
That's
games.
tough.
I'm going to say even.
Oh, he's pushing. Ooh, Paul. So everybody do not push.
That's
give me those points.
I'm going higher on that one.
Oh, Lord, I like it.
I'm going to go higher, and I'm saying lower on Dak, but I don't know why I'm going higher on CD. I just feel it.
Well, bear in mind, he does do some rushing work, so he could break off a rush for a big one.
He might. That's what I'm saying. He might get a long pass early or something, turn up. I just feel like CD, he's in a zone right now.
Yeah. All right, then. Dalton Schultz, 11 fantasy points. Bear in mind, he had a 2-touchdown game last week. Stole the show, high point in that ball. Are you going to push, Paul?
No.
No. Like on Friday.
No. Right. No.
I am going lower.
Lower. Interesting. Okay.
I'm all about the Jake Ferguson train.
Okay.
I'm going higher on this one as well. I reckon they're going to work.
I feel like Lauren knows how to play this fantasy football. Why do I feel like he knows how to play this fantasy football? I'm falling off his lead.
You're copying?
I'm a copy. I feel like Lauren knows what he's talking about. I feel like he's good at fantasy football.
Well, this is the battle, This is the battle between these two for first place.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, Chris Jamie's not playing this week, so.
Yeah. So his score stays where it is. So you guys are really going for.
And you and I have been consistent this season, Paul. You and I have been pretty much on most Thursdays.
Just so you know as well, I'll tell you at the end what you both need in order to win. Defense, Cowboys defense, 7.2 fantasy points, more or less.
Ain't no mountain higher.
They have scored double digits for the last few weeks.
I'm going higher. I feel like they're going to get some turnovers in this game.
Turnovers is what it's been. Forced fumbles for definite. All right, going over to the Commanders side, Sam Howell, 12.9 fantasy points. Bear in mind, he's a Russian dual threat quarterback.
I'm going to go higher. I'm saying I think it'll be like 15 points or something like that. That's what I'm kind of thinking.
Yeah, I agree. I can see that.
I think I'm gonna go higher too. My bad, Lauren. I'm gonna go higher too, just because he ain't got nothing to lose, so he might play crazy.
All right.
And I'm gonna push on him.
Oh!
Oh, look at this. It's all... Yeah, and like the thing is both of you keep putting different scores in. So this
I
is
know, it's got to be nuts.
All right. Brian Robinson then, 11.7 fantasy points. We talked about him being the bowling ball on that offense. And the Cowboys have yet to have faced him because, as Lorna attested earlier on, he was out for the first week or first game.
I'm going to push.
I'm going to go higher on that one, I'm afraid.
Okay. 2 touchdowns, you think, Lorne?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going higher with him. Ooh. I'm gonna go right where I think he might turn up.
Yeah, especially when, like, we spoke about the defensive tackle position as well.
Yeah, I just feel like they ain't got nothing to lose, so I just feel like their offense is gonna play good this game.
Yeah. All right then. Scary Terry McLaurin, 13.9 fantasy points. Bear in mind, he's going to be up against Trayvon Diggs, who definitely has Terry McLaurin's number.
Yep.
Lord's going low.
That's going to be tough because I wonder if Diggs is going to be in the game.
Yeah, it depends how much Diggs they decide to play too.
That's tough.
I'm actually going to say higher.
Me too. I'm going to go higher too because I don't know if Diggs is going to be on the whole game. And he may have some Nashawn right on him a little bit. And if Nashawn touches Scary Terry, he's going to get lit up.
Yeah,
Lorne, game on, Lorne, game on.
It's you are really going opposites here. All right, Logan Thomas, 7.7 fantasy points. Just to let you know, Logan Thomas this season has gone over 50 yards receiving only twice.
Lower.
And he's going to be up against J-Ron Curse, who's right now definitely turned it on. He's gone back to, like, I think maybe with J-Ron Curse, the injuries are starting to get put into the rearview mirror, and he's playing more like himself. Here's a question for you, actually, Big Game James. Micah Parsons, some would say, is the best defensive player for the Cowboys. I would agree. Number 2, is it J-Ron Curse?
The second best?
Yeah. I know you could say DeMarcus Lawrence.
I'm not saying DeMarcus Lawrence. I'm not saying DeMarcus Lawrence.
You got Trayvon Diggs.
That would be my closest person. Yeah. I feel like Trayvon Diggs is a better football player, but I'm throwing in that leadership though.
He's had the green dot.
That's tough. I don't know how to explain it. He ain't the second best player on the field, but he's the second best player on the field, if you understand what I'm saying.
Okay, I'm with you. All right. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
I know he missed some time, but man, he's that emotional guy. I love when he gets to talking and gets that team and like, hey man, y'all need to step up. I don't care. We playing like crap. Like I listen to him when he says other people talk, I don't listen to them. But when he talks, I listen to J-Ron Curse. He's earned that to me.
And here's the crazy part why I'm saying that is think about this. He was a free agent acquisition who was taken by his team in the 6th round. Wild. All right, then. Washington defense, which are quite stingy, mind you. They haven't played badly. 6.4 fantasy points.
Split.
Oh.
I'm just thinking about our offensive line, depending how we hold up in terms of the continuity and stuff like that as well. They probably will play Chase. They'll probably play Sweat as well. So
Sweat's playing really well at the moment too.
Yeah, so that's a bit of a
Chase is on IR, by the way.
Is this? Oh, yeah.
There you go. Is it?
Okay, I shouldn't change my opinion actually. No, I'll stick to split.
Yeah, can I do even on this one?
Yeah, of course you can.
I'm gonna go ahead. This feels like
a point
even.
Either way. So it's 6.4. So it could be 7.4 all the way down to 5.4.
Yeah, that sounds right about for this defense.
Okay.
I'm going ever so slightly higher than Split, so I'm going higher, I'm afraid. They've averaged about 10 points this season per game if you spread it out over the season. So that's my reasoning behind that.
And just so you know, you, Lorne, and Paul, you have had the same choices for only 2 of the picks.
Game on!
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
It's going
That's
one way or
competitive.
the other. It's going
Yeah, I
one
like
way
that.
or the other. Yeah.
I
So,
like that.
in order to overtake Jamie, Lorne, you need 3 right, and Paul needs 4 right.
I was about to curse there, but
And that would make you win. Well, actually, would make if you got 4 right, you would draw with Jamie, Paul. But it's like ever so slightly by like 0.1.
So what you're saying is I literally need to get every single one of them spot on, pretty much.
No, you just need 4 right, and it gives you an ever so slight win by like 0.1%. But there we go. I will let you know, James, where you end up ranking on the guest list. Over there, like I say, you need to get 9 of them right to overtake your guy Nix, who just like had a right romper stomper when he came in.
Okay.
Oh, he was on fire for that one.
He had a really easy game, in fairness, and Heckmer, he had the dud because he was on for the Tampa Bay game, so like the scores were all over the place.
Yeah,
I get it.
That Tampa Bay game was just like all over the place.
Oh, it really was. Yeah, I mean, it was a
because
tough
you had no clue his first game of the year.
The first game of the year, and also like you're thinking to yourself, yeah, you know, Dak will do that, and he didn't. He obviously got good, and you know, Zeke and Pollard were split in. Lamb was a little all over the place. Defense was bad, but yeah. But here is Mr. Big Game James. He is right there, look, smack bang in the middle, right next to Lord. Yeah. Where can they find you, Mr. Big Game James, so people know?
Y'all can just check me out on the handle, Big Game James, on. Not on Facebook right now, not as much. I'm really just honing in on the YouTube and, you know, my Twitter, and I'm probably going to get my Instagram up. But just type in that handle, Big Game James. You know, we do Cowboys football. We also talk Mavericks basketball. That's, you know, after football season, we're going to go hard. It'll be like 2 months before the NBA playoffs. So check that out if you like basketball. And, of course, my high school, we're getting all – I just dropped an interview yesterday. We got some more great interviews coming up, some more kids that just signed with some more schools. So check that out and give those kids the support they love. They're going to need all they can get. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, and you said as well, you mentioned about the podcast. What's that called, just so people know?
Just Big Game James. Type in that podcast. It'll come right on it.
James, I was meant to ask you as well. It's like about your nephew as well. Like, is it your nephew's playing ball?
Yes, sir.
How's he doing right now?
He's getting ready to enroll. He just played in the Under Armour All-American game Tuesday. That was very exciting. He's going right into school right after that. So, you know, we're all excited, man. You know, I can't really explain it. I'm excited to go to these games at LSU. You know what I mean? Like, this is a big deal. Like, this is a real big deal with our family. We have a lot of athletes in our family that have played college sports, but obviously this is probably the biggest one we've had. And to see him, I've seen him since he was a baby playing Little League football. So to see him growing up and doing it now, it's just really exciting. I just really hope he has the opportunity, I know he's gonna make the most opportunity, but I'm gonna tell y'all right now, when we playing somebody, they play Oklahoma, they say something, and Yates come in and he hit somebody, and Yates with the big hit, bro. I'm gonna do backflips.
Honestly,
we want the soundbite. We want the soundbite, please.
Crazy.
Honestly,
just make sure you send it to me. I'll put
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, because I'm keeping a follow on what you're posting on Twitter and stuff like that, and I wish him all the best because I just love the fact that you're just being so supportive of your family and that, and I think it's just great to see that, and yeah.
It's different really when you got something invested in people in that way, isn't it? You know, it's an added kick to it, an added spice.
Yeah, because it's like I've coached a lot of kids, and I got a couple kids that have pro pro opportunities coming up next year. So, that's super exciting. One kid, Julius Wood, definitely check him out. He plays for East Carolina. He's a safety. He'll be a senior next year. He's definitely going to be in the draft publications. He's probably going to be one of the top seniors coming into the league as a safety, and they play Michigan. Their first game is Michigan next year, and he's in the big house. So we're all excited. I'm going to be at that game. I'm going to be super excited. But if he goes up there and really turns up, it really just elevates his draft status. And we're all excited because, I was coaching him and he played with my son. They played together for like 3 years together. So just to see him like, man, you really could go pro. But like y'all said, it hits different when it's a family member out there doing it and they're calling your family's name out there. It hits a little bit different when CBS and all them guys are saying Yates with the big tackle. Hits a little bit different right there.
Can you imagine as well if they end up calling him Big Yates? You'd be like,
oh
my
boy.
God.
Like, that's right. I'm like, that's right. It's over here. You know it.
But, mate, it was an absolute honor to have you. And we couldn't have had it any other way than to do the final.
And his volume has just disappeared there.
Yep. My voice.
Yeah, your voice just disappeared there.
It's because the music playing the outro. But, yes, there's no way we couldn't have the final regular season game without having you on Big Game. Like you say, we was talking briefly before, and then you say, and you were available. It's like, yes. And what's funny is Paul and Lorne don't know this, that I messaged because we were talking, and I was like, do you want to go? And he was like, yes. I accidentally pressed the call button. I was so excited. I was like, oh, crap. And I was like, sorry. You're like, yeah, I know. You're excited. I was like, I know.
I was like, yo, you super excited. You calling me after I said yes? Okay, I definitely got to be there.
But it's an absolute pleasure, mate, to speak to you again. I will, as I say, let you know what your final score was, and I'll talk to you offline another time, and we'll see how things are going.
Before we get off of here, I just want to give you guys a shout out, man. You guys are awesome. We've been doing this for like about 2-3 years now, man. Yeah. And it's been, it's been great, man. I feel like I've forged a great relationship with you guys, and I really appreciate what you guys are doing on the other side out there, really holding it down out there in the UK, man. It's just awesome. You guys are great people. I just want to really tell you that. I ain't just saying that just because it sounds good. We on air, whatever. You guys are great people, man. You guys really are great people, and you always made me feel comfortable, always made me feel at home when I come on here, and that's big. That don't happen on a lot of shows. You guys are genuine, and that's what I respect more than anything. You guys are genuine and you're real, and that's what I really flow with, and that's why I'm gonna always be on here whenever y'all ask me, anytime.
Yeah, it's your second home.
Man, that's pure hit me right in the heart.
I know.
It's real. It's real.
All the feels.
Hey, it's real.
But yes, as we do every week, we let these guys finish the show off. So, Lorne, Paul finishes out, and we'll get out of here.
Peace.
Yep. Let's start 2023 with a win, going to the playoffs nice and hot.
Go Cowboys. I've got nothing much else to say, but yeah, we're in the playoffs, baby. Let's go.